So, primarily I work with trauma. That means some incident in your past, maybe several incidents in your past, something that keeps you up at night, you have nightmares about it, or maybe you've developed some symptoms ever since that thing happened. It could be very recently, it could be a long, long time ago when you were very young, it could be both. But this is what I specialize in. So if you're haunted by your past, I'm your guy. That was the short answer. This is the long answer. So when I meet with someone, the first step for us is to identify our problem. So typically when you're going to therapy because you're encountering some kind of problem like anxiety attacks or nightmares or compulsive behaviors. And so when you come to visit me, we're going to sit down, we're going to look at what that problem might be. Now, for some people, super quick, right? Like they know exactly what they want, what they're trying to work on, and we get right down to it. But others aren't so clear, and so that takes a while. We might have to parse out exactly what we're looking at here. What is your goal? What are you wanting to work towards? So that's phase one. Identifying the problem. Then we get to phase two, or this is what I call it. Phase two is maybe a little controversial for some mental health professionals out there. I go after the source. So I'm looking for the source of these symptoms. Now, some people recommend against this, that they say that looking for the source of symptoms can actually be very difficult, and that's true. It can be very difficult. I find that it is even more difficult to try and address a symptom without knowing where it's coming from. So that's what we do in here. We work on identifying where it's coming from. Now, if you're dealing with a primarily chemical symptom, we're not going to find a source. And it's important to keep our eyes open to try and recognize those signs. And I have a lot of experience recognizing the difference. And so there have been many clients where I've said, hey, I think this might actually be a chemical thing. Before we go digging into your past, maybe we could consider this as well. So it kind of depends. But if we decide to move forward, go after the source of our trauma, there are different ways that we can go about that. Building timelines is a real common one that I like to use. Also, I'll just ask you a lot of questions. More questions than you want me to ask, I think, to get down to the source of that. Now, inevitably, once we've found the source, it's a moment, it's a series of moments, it's a pattern of some kind in a relationship, but it's something that happened in the past, which means that what we're dealing with today is actually just an old pattern. So this is phase three, breaking out of old patterns. This is the trauma work. As I said, I'm a trauma therapist. So this is the trauma work. This is where we use EMDR, and I will include a link to my video explaining what EMDR is. There's also another one explaining how it feels or what it's like to go through EMDR. So I'll suffice it to say here that we resolve the source of those symptoms, and the result is this sort of trickle up or cascading up effect where resolving the origin of your symptoms actually results in all of this other relief. All of a sudden, it's easy. I can sleep better at night, or it's easier for me to talk to my friends, or I don't have the same kind of difficulties in my intimate relationship. That leads us finally to be able to look at phase four. Phase four is about trusting yourself, and this is something that's really close to my heart. I want to help people trust themselves. We all have intuitive senses. We all have instincts. We can learn to communicate what's inside of us to others. We can learn to intuit what's happening around us, maybe even what's happening in the people across from us. And when we do that, we enter into this new, I don't know, it's like the next level of being a person or whatever, when you trust yourself and what it is that you have to bring to the table. But this is hard to do if you don't do phases 1, 2, and 3, right? If you're not clearing away some of that debris and you really want to learn to trust yourself, but you're plagued with compulsive behavior, well, that's going to be difficult to pull off, right? In in my experience, it's impossible to pull off. So while these different phases can be varying in length, they are always in that order. That's really kind of what happens. So, as I said, that was the long answer. If any of this sounds like something that you're interested in, or someone that you love might be interested in, go to my website, adamclucci.com. You can schedule an appointment. Also, click around the channel here. You can explore my blog, my podcast to find information that is useful to you. So, thanks for tuning in. I'm Adam Clucci, and we are raising consciousness.